talking about round 11 NRL. We've got a split round this weekend, but very, very attractive few games. I think very confident that we can make a profit on the weekend. Just before we go into those games, just a reminder that this Thursday night we have a free webinar available that I strongly suggest that you register to. You can register with the click down below on this page. Just click on it and go straight through and register your name, and that will ensure that you have a seat for the webinar on Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Australia time. And look, what we'll be discussing will be the state of origin. We'll be talking about the analysis of it, the history of it, the track record of it, and tell you where we think that there's an opportunity to make a profit, and talk about a staking plan at the finish of it. It'll go for about an hour. You can email in any questions that you like and we'll answer them for you. I'll be there with Tony the Badger Hargraves, and he'll be talking at it from a trader's perspective, and we think that there's a real edge in the start of origin this year. So there it is, Thursday night. Make sure you register. We look forward to your company. Now look, just getting on with round 11, the first game we have is on Friday night, the Tigers versus the Warriors, and this is at Leichhardt Oval, and it's one of the reasons why the Tigers have opened up so short. But look, I say this, and I'm a guy that doesn't have a lot of luck with the Warriors, I have to say, but you can't deny the talent in the side. I really think that the market has got this wrong. I think the Warriors should be favourite for this game. Right at the moment you can get even money, and I think that's an absolute luxury. The Tigers have already blown out in the space of 4 hours on Wednesday morning from $1.81 to $1.89 with the bookmakers. $1.81 was just ridiculous, and you can still, as we're talking Wednesday afternoon, even money is still available to the Warriors. I think that's really, really good odds, despite the fact they're playing at Leichhardt Oval. Just let me quickly tell you why I think it's good odds. Firstly, the Tigers are up against the biggest and toughest pack in the NRL, and the Tigers are without their two best defenders, Ellis and Huntington. They're two massive outs for them in terms of work rate. Now, the big thing here is they've lost their brains trust. They've lost their guy that runs them around, their real leader, Robbie Farah. He's gone to start of origin, and he's been replaced by Tom Humble, who's not a hooker, and he's just a guy who's got a lot of speed off the mark. He's more of a runner. They will have a problem getting good, clean, quick ball, the Tigers, and I think that's a big problem for them. The other thing is that Benji Marshall moves to halfback. I've never ever thought he was a halfback. I always thought he was a second receiver, and I think that's a negative. Look, I will admit they probably haven't got anybody else, but you're taking away their best player and putting him in a position where he's not going to be as effective. And they brought in Chris Lawrence as the second receiver, who is an out-and-out centre. I've seen Chris Lawrence play a heap of 5'8", and he's not a 5'8". Really issue for me some of the changes in the Tigers lineup. For the Warriors lineup, Glenn Fishy-Ahi comes in at fullback. I think this guy is a potential world beater. He's probably the fastest guy in the NRL for the length of the field. He's an absolute rocket. He scored 3 tries in the state league last weekend for the New Zealand feeder club, the Falcons. He's an absolute rocket, and if he gets any early ball, the Tigers will know that he's on the ground. Glenn Fishy-Ahi in at fullback. The other big in is Sam Rapira. I regard him as one of the best prop forwards in the world. He's big, strong, has got good ball skills, and he plays the ball as quick as I've seen any prop play the ball. He's another big in for the Warriors. The Warriors aren't far off full strength. The big plus that I think I see for the Warriors is Shaun Johnson. I've always thought of him as a second receiver, but he plays halfback, and some of the skills that I saw him play last week, he looked to have more time, and his tactical kicks were spot on. They were very, very good. Something that I haven't seen from Shaun Johnson. So I'm seeing a marked improvement in his tactical kicking, and if he can keep on that improvement, the Warriors are going to be a real opportunity. Maybe not this year, but certainly next year. But I think if he plays like that, and some of his gun runners like Fishy-Ahi and Conrad Hurrell, Vatavai, Maloney, guys like that, I think that they'll be just too good, the Warriors. If they play them up the middle in the forwards, they'll be just too good. The Tigers are short because of Benji Marshall and because they're playing at Leichhardt Oval. But if you compare the two lots of 17s, I can only be on the Warriors. I think they're terrific odds, and we have to go for the value. Let's look at the other game that we have. We go to Saturday now. We have the Cowboys versus the Panthers. Look, this is another game that I think the market has got wrong. They went up $1.65, the Cowboys. I think that was centre bet. Just totally ridiculous price. They got that wrong Wednesday morning. They're now into $1.56. I still think that that's way over the odds. I think the Cowboys should be a lot shorter. The Panthers are blown out from $2.40 to $2.65, and I think they should keep on blowing. It's going to be a very, very tough call for them to get home and win this game. The last 14 times these two teams have met at Dairy Farmers, Penrith Panther has actually won 9 games out of the 14. So they don't have a problem at the ground, but let me tell you, this is not a normal Penrith team. They've got a very short backup, 5-day backup, and they've had to jump on a plane and go to North Queensland. And I would expect that they'll continue to have some outs in this game. I don't expect Cameron Ciraldo to play again. He was out on Monday. I expect him to be out again. I think Chris Armit will also be out from the team selected. That's going to bring guys in like Mitch Atchurch and people like that. It's very, very much an ordinary looking forward pack at the moment. The Panthers have 2 very good prop forwards, Tim Grant and Sam McKendry. A lot will depend on them and the go forward from their great little hooker, Kevin Kingston. I think one of the things that are the biggest concern in trying to assess this game is, will the halfback Luke Walsh play? I'm not quite sure if they'll risk him on the plane. They may want to wait till they get back at home, but he hasn't been named. I think he's a chance of playing. But for me, the Panthers, they lose their captain, who's really the club. You can't imagine that the Panthers will be winning a game anywhere without Luke Lewis. He just holds them together. And with no Luke Lewis and with no halfback, it's very, very hard to see them winning this game. Admittedly, the Cowboys are without Jonathan Thurston, Brent Tate, James Tamu and Matthew Scott. They're 4 very big names and they're big outs for any club. But in comes James Seguiaro, who I think is the most promising young hooker in the NRL, an absolute rocket, gives them terrific thrust in attack. Scott Bolton, the very experienced Scott Bolton, also comes in. Corey Patterson also comes in, very good forward. And the boom young kid, James Tamalalo, who I think is the young Arthur Beetson. Massive rap. And to have him coming in, I think is just a terrific plus. So they've got 4 good ins, the Cowboys. It's not a bad-looking side. I don't mind the halfback, Michael Morgan and Ray Thompson. They know each other's game very well, and I think they'll go very well together. I don't think there's any doubt that Tarek Sims will be very upset that he wasn't selected for the State of Origin, and he'll want to show Ricky Stewart that he's ready to go for Origin too. And I think you can expect a big game from Tarek Sims. But without Luke Lewis, without Jennings, I can't see the Panthers getting home here, and I think that the Cowboys will continue to firm, and I think you should be on them. The next game we have on the Sunday, the Sea Eagles and the Roosters. Once again, I think the bookies have got this market wrong. They went up $1.55. I think Sportsbet went up $1.55. They got that wrong. It's now into $1.50. I think they should even be much shorter than that. This is a very good Seagulls team. Up against the Roosters without their halfback. They've blown from $2.60 to $2.85 in the space of half a day. I think they'll continue to blow. They don't have a tactical kicker and an organiser of the Roosters. A lot of this is going to come onto the shoulders of Blake Vanasta, and organising and tactical kicking isn't one of his strengths. He's way past his best. Look, he's still a class act, but he's not the player that he was. Young Daniel Mortimer was recruited especially to come in and play halfback during the State of Origin series, and he'll do a good little job there. He's nippy and he'll be a good link man, but he's not a halfback. He's not a tactical kicker, and the Roosters are going to be struggling after tackle 5 what to do. Tato Moga, he holds the left wing position. I think he's a centre. He didn't know what to do in defence last week, and BJ Lulia, he will be in the centres. Maybe they should swap them around, but both those 2 young kids, they both have an abundance of talent in attack, but really they haven't got much idea in defence. And we saw BJ in the grand final, 2 grand finals back, and he was just all lost in defence. Big problem for those 2 guys. I'll be very surprised if the Manly right side don't attack them, and we know how good that is. So, look, I think the Roosters will struggle without their halfback. Their best forward, Aidan Guerra, despite all the good recruits that the Roosters have got, and they have got a terrific forward pack, and it'll be even better next year, I still think Aidan Guerra is their best forward. He's on fire, and he's going terrific. He's a no-name forward, but he wouldn't be out of place on the bench for the State of Origin, the way he's going. He's going terrific. It certainly gives them a fleeting chance. But look, Manly are without Brett and Glenn Stewart, Jamie Buhrer and Tony Williams, but in comes they've got Dean Warray playing fullback. I think he's a gun. He can play a lot of positions, and I think he's a real gun. I think he has got a wonderful future. Their 5'8", Kieran Foran, one of the best players in the club, is also an in. He'll combine with Daly Cherry Evans. Plus they're going to have Matt Ballin there, so they're going to have a very, very good spine. Jason King, their co-captain, I don't think there's a prop forward in any better form. He's been in wonderful form the last couple of weeks. Anthony Watmough will be upset that he got dropped from the State of Origin. I think he'll want to put in a big one. But look, just a little note to you, Anthony. Why I think you got dropped is because you make too many mistakes. You drop too many balls, you miss too many tackles, and you give too many dumb penalties away. If you're going to go and make 150 metres running around and doing a lot of runs and with a high work rate, and you're wonderful at that, when you give a couple of penalties away, to me that's 200 metres. So if you're going to make 150 and you're going to give 200 away, you're going to be negative 50 metres. And that's how you have to look at your stats. And maybe that was the reason why Ricky Stewart didn't want you in the New South Wales side. You wanted to have somebody who will be a little bit more reliable and not give dumb penalties away. You can't give cheap penalties away and give the opposition that cheap possession, especially when you're up against Queensland. But, you know, they're only up against the Roosters here, and I think you'll find that Anthony Watmough will have a very good game here. I think Manly are good odds, and I think they'll win this game. They need to win it if they want to finish second or first in the premiership and make sure that they have a home game first up. Very, very important game for them to win this. I like them big time. Sunday, Dragons versus the Rabbitohs. Look, I think the bookies have got this market right. Don't want to do too much here. It can go either way, there's no doubt about that. The Dragons are in awful trouble. They've got massive slump here. They've got a couple of players out for State of Origin, and obviously the Rabbitohs have as well. It probably equals itself up. Interested to see the Rabbitohs have brought Justin Hunt in. He looked like he was going to come down and play halfback. Interested to see how he goes on the wing. Sam Burgess starts this week, and Sam Burgess playing is like giving the Rabbitohs an extra man on the field. He's just a dynamic player, and wherever he's there, any team he's in has got a chance of winning. Wonderful to see Nathan Merritt start at fullback this week. What a great replacement you have. You lose Greg Inglis and you put Nathan Merritt in. A nice position to be in. Sam Burgess's brother, Luke Burgess, also not starts, but he'll be off the bench this week. And I think he's a genuine first grader, and he'll be a good asset to the Rabbitohs. But look, the Dragons get Jamie Soward back. They had no idea what to do after 5 tackles against Penrith on the weekend, and he will straighten them up and give them a lot better field position this week. I have no doubt about that. Jeremy Lattimore starting, Jake Marketo starting, Lucian Armour starting. They've got an opportunity to consolidate some positions there, given the form slump. Cameron King onto the bench is a big in, and I've got a big regard for Jack DeBellin. Good to see him back onto the bench. They've named Chase Stanley onto the bench. Surely they're going to play him in place of Daniel Vito. Every man and his dog knew it at Canberra. I don't know why St George recruited him. They recruited him and put him on the bench, and now they're wondering why he's dropping every ball. I mean, he's never had good hands. We've known that for 3 years. But, you know, look, he's been selected again. I certainly would be having Chase Stanley in place of him. He's too much of a liability, and I don't think there's any doubt that the Rabbitohs, just like every other coach in the NRL, knows that, and they'll be kicking ball to Daniel Vito to try and get a cheap turnover. Not going to do anything in that game. The prices look pretty spot on to me. The Bulldogs on the Monday are playing the Sharks, and we really can't do anything here until we know if the Bulldogs halfback Trent Hodgkinson will be playing, because he makes a big difference to their organisation. They've been lacking fifth tackle options while he hasn't been on the field. And while I don't think he's in any great shape as a halfback, he has got a better tactical kicking game than the two guys that are there, Josh Reynolds and Chris Keating. It'll be interesting to see when he comes back. which one the coach drops out of Josh Reynolds or Chris Keating. I certainly would be keeping Chris Keating. I think he's going okay, and I think he'd be the guy I'd be keeping, and I'd be dropping Josh Reynolds. Interesting that Mark Guy thinks Josh Reynolds should be playing State of Origin. I don't know where he watches his games from. David Stagg for the Bulldogs. I'll be surprised if he plays. He looked like he got injured on the weekend. Very surprised if he will back up. For the Sharks, I think once again they're over the odds. They seem to be slightly over the odds every time they go around. The market just doesn't seem to like them. John Williams has been selected again. I guess they're down on troops. And there's not much else they could do, but he's another guy that's got bad hands and is a massive liability. You just can't be having wing guys in the wing who can't catch a ball. John Williams is one of those guys. Wade Graham will come in for Carney and play second receiver and do a good job. He's an X5'8". There won't be any problem there. He's not Carney, but he's a class act and he's in great form. Done a wonderful job at lock forward. No Paul Gallen, obviously, but they won without Paul Gallen on the weekend. That will give them a lot of confidence. And with no Paul Gallen there, Jeremy Smith just aims right up, and he's a world-class forward. And there's no reason why he won't do that again against this big Bulldogs pack. Good to see Tyson Frizzle come in onto the bench for the Sharks. He's a Irish international, I think he is. Played in the Four Nations, and he's got an abundance of talents. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play on the weekend. Sam Tagatese is the guy who comes into the forward pack for Paul Gallen. This is still a very good forward pack, the Sharks, and I think that they can give the Bulldogs a run for their money. The Bulldogs will likely win the game, but I can't be on them. I don't like some of the configurations that they've had, and I think the coach has got some of the players wrong, and he has done all season. But look, they'll sort it out. It's a game that I don't really think is attractive, and I don't want to do too much. But I do think there's 3 games that I do like on the weekend. Members will get updates from me as I get ins and outs and injuries, and as I change the rankings. So look forward to that. But if you want to know what to do for the State of Origin, make sure you tune in to our webinar on Thursday night, and register down below where you see webinar, and you can register. It's free of charge. I think you'll enjoy it. Look forward to your questions and hope your team wins over the weekend. Cheers.